What's up, everybody? You are tuned in to the Elks Call with the Elks Herd. My name is Scout, aka the rep from Section X.
And I'm Catherine, aka Do You Even Alex?
And today we have a very special guest of the Winnipeg Hangar and Wisconsin Weatherman, Mike Dandrea. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, how we doing?
Good, man. Good. Really stoked to have you on. Stoked to talk about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Edmonton Elks game. That's going to be coming up here right away. So today on the show, what we're going to do is we're going to run through the last game, that dreadful 0-6 on the season, 20th home loss in a row. Then after that, we're going to go ahead and discuss the upcoming game here that's coming up in an hour. And then after that, we're going to go over the Edmonton sports update. And then we're going to ask Mike Dandrea some questions here. So should be a good episode.
Definitely. So we're just going to get right to it. We are actually going to be very brief in the first little bit. We all know how it went, right? So, and we do have a game here coming up. So I don't think we really need to spend a lot of time in these anymore. So let's just get right into it. We had the week 6 game against the Tiger Cats, finishing up at 37-29. So within that first quarter, I'm just going to rush through this. We did have that short kick starting things off, which resulted in the Tiger Cats losing the ball. So that was a really good start for Edmonton. That was surprising. That got everybody excited. It seemed like it was going to be a good game.
Yeah.
And we see some really good runs by Cornelius. He got the first down, and then he threw it just a little too far, which caused French to not get there in time, unfortunately. But Faithful did show up this time, and he did his job in this game, and he got us our first field goal. So that led us to the second quarter. We had a 24-yard completion by Cornelius.
Yep.
Number 22, Brooks, was ready for that one, but unfortunately they couldn't really do much with that. So we did see a couple of sacks though for Schultz, I think that's his name.
Schultz,
the quarterback, the Tiger Cats quarterback. We had number 90, Rudy Ely, and number 45, Niles Morgan, sacked Schultz. So that was, defense seemed to have showed up so far in the game. So we also some really good throws by Cornelius there. We had that first down to Dunbar, and then we saw that really slick, wrist flick to Moore. I remember seeing that in the game, and I'm like, oh, I have never seen Cornelius do something like that. He seemed to be in a little bit of trouble. He spun away and fortunately threw it to the end zone for an incomplete because French could not hang on to that ball.
No, he had a tough time with that, in that first half. So.
Yeah, we saw a couple of those not being able to hold on to the balls. So.
Tough kind of describes Edmonton's season.
You know what? I was thinking about this as I was looking up some of the stats and some of the plays. And when you were, I don't know if here in Canada they did that, but when I was little in Mexico, we had this project that we would have to take care of eggs and making sure that we didn't drop them, and we would draw little eyes, and they would be like our babies, and we had to make sure that we didn't drop these eggs for an entire week. I feel like we should make our team do that. Just give them something to practice ball security, because that was not fun to see.
No,
what they're doing now isn't working, so anything,
obviously you got to do something, right? You got to do something.
It's that or a baby. Give them a baby to hold on to, and they can't drop the baby. So we did see another kick by Faithful. Gave us another 3, and then Ticats starting getting their touchdowns because once again the Elks could not stop the run.
Can't stop the run. Big problem for the Elks this year. And speaking about the run, we're going into this Winnipeg game, and Winnipeg can run. They don't need necessarily an Andrew Harris. They don't need Andrew Harris back. They've got Brady Oliveira now. I mean, they're going to run through the Elks. Is going to be my predictor right now based on what we've seen. So, anyways.
But yes, that was the first half. I mean, we'll stop there a little bit really quickly just to get some opinions here. I mean, what did you think, Mike, based on what happened in this first half with the Elks?
Well, I mean, like you said, ball security is a big thing. But I mean, it just seems that the team can't really get anything going. And of course, last year wasn't necessarily a great year for them either. Scout, you may be able to answer this off the top of your head because that's just the kind of person you are. But when is the last time Edmonton won a home game?
October 19th, I want to say. It's either October 9th or October 19th, but I was there. Or it was like October 17th, one of those dates, but it was definitely in 2019. And
like,
I was there with your good friend Stan the Caddy. He was there for that game.
Yeah, like, as a Winnipeg fan, historically, Commonwealth is a hard place to play at until, the last 4 years. And it's just like, what happened?
Yeah. No, it's, I mean, with the organization,
the question.
That is. Everybody's asking the question. What happened with this team? What is happening as per Dustin Nielsen, right? It's
there wasn't really many personnel changes in from 19 to, well, of course, 2020. We didn't have the season, but to 21, was there a lot of personnel changes? I mean, of course, teams change a bit every year, but
I mean, you're also going to get the conspiracy theorists that say that it was the change of the name that cursed the team.
And conspiracy theorists.
Yes.
We hear it in and day out that it was a name change and it's cursed, and that's why we're
even right now in the Facebook group, they're still talking about it. They're running polls right now in the Facebook group over the name change. Sorry, Mike.
I think that they should go back, instead of the Elks, they should just go back to EE, because that just kind of describes the sound that all of Edmonton's fans are making right now.
Oh, savage!
Wow,
savage!
Hey man, for the W,
you know what? We did not invite you on our podcast to roast us. Now you know why we get enough of that online anyway. So we're used to it.
Hey, you asked my opinions on it, so I think I'd give it to you straight.
That is great. That will be a reel, that's for sure.
Stick a fork in us, we're done, right?
That one hurt a little bit.
Ego and the pride.
But all right, let's move on to the second half. We did have the first down by Dunbar midfield, and then we saw that beautiful completion in front by number 3, Tyron Moore, for a touchdown. So, but right away, right after that, the Ticats answered back, and they had some really good runs of their own. They were, of course, they're going to take advantage of the fact that the Elks can't stop to run, so they run it in for another touchdown.
Yeah.
Then Cornelius tries to avoid a sack and throws it away right into the hands of the Ticats, so they run it in for another touchdown. And from there on, it's just your usual third quarter Edmonton Elks. So
and we've talked about it on the Elks call. We've talked about it on Twitter. We've talked about it in the turnover. That this season we've had one good third quarter. And even then, it wasn't good. It was decent. It was competitive.
It was good enough.
It was good enough. But we're not even saying that it was good. No. So, it's been painful. Yeah. Right? It's been really, really painful.
It has been. Well, they did have a little bit of a casualty there. Schultz got taken down, and he had to be taken out of the game. So we had Taylor Powell coming in with his first CFL appearance.
Yep.
So he has yet another touchdown, which, I mean, good for him, being a rookie, being brand new, but bad for us. Going into the fourth quarter, they decided to bring Daggy in. So that was another change, right? Now we're going back to switching our quarterbacks. I'm not really sure exactly what I
Garbage
think
time.
about that.
It's a garbage time play, right? They wanted
Yeah.
to get Daggy a little bit of experience and a little bit of just they wanted him to get some more snaps in, so might as well get him primed and ready. Trey Ford, that's a conversation
Yeah.
for after this.
Yeah. Yeah. It was another day. Um, he does get a completion, hands it off to Brown, and he runs it in for a rushing touchdown. But I believe that one didn't count. There was a penalty or something in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, the old I think we lost.
We may have lost Mike.
Lost Mike. He'll come back. We'll continue with this.
We'll get him back in here.
It's that's what he gets. Maybe we kicked him out.
Now I feel like we're kind of close to TSN 1260. Like we finally had our first draw. This is amazing.
It's great.
Awesome.
Well, if people didn't notice, he was driving, so that's Wisconsin style. That's what he said, right? You do everything in his pickup truck.
Yeah.
But,
we also call that Berta style too.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually,
that's
relatable.
They're not too different down there.
Yeah, after that, the O-line seemed to do their thing. We saw Kevin Brown going in for that rushing touchdown. In my notes here.
We got Mike back.
We have Mike back, so I am just.
I think we're good now.
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
I said I just had to make sure that people knew that we didn't kick you out for being mean.
Listen, man, I make one comment, all right?
Yes, but we'll continue. We were just talking about Kevin Brown. The funny thing here is in my notes, I put Kevin Brown equals little. So he's he's a very small player. And one of the things that I recognized during the game is that the O-line wasn't being consistent enough. When you have a shorter player that is trying to make it through and push it through, you have to make sure that you're making goals for that player to go through as the O-line. And it was not consistent enough. We did see a couple of those, but not every time. And I know Cornelius was throwing it to the ground quite a few times to get him to run through.
Well, and you and I had talked about this as well, right? You have that problem where we're talking about a game of milliseconds.
Yeah.
So the play call, the playbook, everything within that play states, you should be running in, and as you're running in, your guys are going to make you this hole to truly make it a game of milliseconds. Unfortunately, what we saw was the O-line just not be able to make those holes when the play call required it. So that part was very, very, very,
It was
very
obvious.
Yeah, it was painful.
After that, we did have McAllister from the Tigers going in and doing another really good run and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So we were lucky for the penalty there.
Yeah.
We'll take it. We'll take it in any way. And then a couple of really good completions by Daggy with a touchdown by Dunbar. So, I mean, even in garbage time, once again, Daggy showed up and did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, a game of 29, it's still decent enough. But obviously, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
But, there's definitely, while there were some improvements, there's definitely a lot of things that the team can do to get better. So
I think so.
The next game is in less than an hour against the Winnipeg Bombers.
Winnipeg.
So what do you think? What's going to happen?
Well, I think that O'Shea is going to want to have the answer after a kind of embarrassing loss to Ottawa. It was, Scout was talking about it earlier, how Winnipeg is known for historically having a pretty good run game. But last week, Ottawa had an answer for everything in Winnipeg's running game. They got the least amount of yards, I want to say, since a game in 2015 was the last time they had as few yards as they had. So I think that they're going to want to take advantage of a lackluster defense, if you will. So they're going to want to get that game running, just get the momentum going, because that was a tough loss. But another, we'll just kind of address the elephant in the room early on. Lawler's coming back tonight, and Collaros is Mr. Reliable under center. You know, I have a feeling that this is going to be a statement game for the Bombers.
Yeah, I do believe that the Bombers they're kind of hungry for a win, right? So they're going to be coming in hoping to they're hoping to defend home turf. I mean, you're playing against the Edmonton Elks, but this is where we say that this may be one of those trap games.
Yeah.
It's
Edmonton does have something to play for. They want to play for a win.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give you that. But if I feel like it would be more of a trap game if, say, Winnipeg blew out the Red Blacks last week.
yeah.
Like,
Well, we're hungry for it. We definitely are. So
Yeah, no, the Edmonton Elks, the fan base, the organization, they all need a win. If they may come out hungry enough today. I don't exactly have full faith, but that being said, we're still gonna order Chinese, watch the game, get pumped on it, and go ahead and pray for a win.
and I mean we do have some injuries in the team. So
Okay, what's the injury report?
I mean we do Woodley Apollon.
Yeah.
I'm really bad with names.
Woodley
He's
Apollon.
out with a knee injury. We have Andrew Garnett with an abdominal injury. Aaron Grimes still out with his knee injury, and just a couple of new developments is Niles Morgan and Jamin Pelly, which those ones are very unfortunate, both of those.
Yeah, Niles Morgan, that's a tough one. I mean, Aaron Grimes, we really want Aaron Grimes back. However, Jamin Pelly being out, that's a brutal one. He's a big cog on that D line, so it really does suck that Jamin's not in. And then Niles Morgan as well. He's been pretty defensively sound. He hasn't necessarily had any major issues. He had obviously that fine. He just got a big maximum fine, I believe, so that's a little bit disappointing. But that being said, we're starting to see the injury bug now come through. So when we have the injury bug all of a sudden becoming a thing in the middle of the season, when we're already struggling to get wins, things are about to get a little bit interesting here in Edmonton. So,
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw that last year too, right? Suddenly we started getting a whole bunch of injuries, and
yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, at that time, it was a lot of like, well, there goes the season mentality, right?
Yeah.
It's
Well, and I do think that, you know, to some degree, we are allowed to feel that bit of impending doom and to feel that little bit of stress and anxiety about that for sure. However, you know, the injury bug popping up, especially right now for the Edmonton, it's the last thing that we really needed, I believe. So.
Well, if there's one thing that we can say is that there's no pressure for the Elks to win or lose, so we're just gonna enjoy the game. We're gonna enjoy some football.
Yeah, totally, and no expectations. Honestly, in my opinion, I don't think I really have much expectations on this game.
Yeah.
I kind of just want to enjoy watching football and just not putting pressure on myself or my mental health for an Edmonton Elks win, and that's honestly where we're at with this team.
Very
now.
much so.
The reality is that
prior to Collaros coming to Winnipeg, it was the same thing for me. You know, we had some rough years leading up to the 2 Grey Cups and 3 seasons, but leading up to that was rough. So I know what you're going through.
Yeah, well, and for Bombers fans, right? It's interesting to see the support from Bombers fans going through this right now because the Bombers went 29 years without a Grey Cup. You know, as much as I felt bad for that fan base, at the same time, I get what everybody else is saying with the Edmonton Elks, where you kind of you kind of hope they get the win, but if there's a joke to be had at the end of the next loss, then.
I mean, it's
kind of like the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and that's just it. People forget. I think maybe it was our past guest, Sammy G, that said that we were spoiled, right? The Edmonton Eskimos, the Edmonton Elks fans, they were spoiled with a whole bunch of wins, and now that we're
in the mid 2010s,
now that we're going through, you know, a little bit of a bad period, they're not used to it, and they're expecting a lot more, and not realizing that this happens in every single team, for every single sport, that they will go through really rough patches
Yeah.
that could last years. So
Well, and even, I mean, the Toronto Raptors, right, were a basketball team for, 20, 30 years, or I want to say 90s is when they came in. I want to say like late 80s, early 90s. So, I mean, they were a team that existed for 20, 30 years before they got their first championship. So, I get that we're talking about a 9-team league, but the parity. Like you can tell where teams are built for dynasty right now, or teams are built for uh, long success, lengthy success. Just like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I mean,
yeah, I can see it.
Mike's watching it himself right now, and I mean, Mike gets to watch the Blue Bombers a lot more closely than we do. But outsider looking in, I don't really disagree with them being in a dynasty position right now.
Yeah, definitely. We're just not there.
That was a thing too, that like that going into this year, there were some question marks. Are they gonna, after that loss in the Grey Cup, are they gonna get back to form, or is that loss gonna really impact them, going forward? Because that was a tough loss. But here we are, starting the season on a winning note, and well, I mean, 4-2. They should have won last week, but hey, is what it is. But I mean, you take the tough losses, you move on, and all it takes is a couple wins in a row at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
You can get yourself another Grey Cup. We saw that in 2019.
Yeah, well, and the Bombers too. I mean, they are starting to age where it matters. The D line, you got Jeffcoat and Jefferson out there doing their thing. Willie Jefferson, wish he was in green and gold, but unfortunately he chose to re-sign in Winnipeg because he liked Winnipeg, and he's one heck of a player. He doesn't look like he's running out of gas anytime soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, with some of those guys, you do know that they will be aging at some point, like to the point of retiring. But I think that Winnipeg genuinely still has another 3 years of 3 to even possibly 5 years of retool for more cups. Like they're still going to be a contender for at least 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and I mean it does hurt to age a couple guys that age like that, but I mean they're still playing at the top of their game. It's just, nobody gets younger, unfortunately.
Yep. No, that's exactly it. So, speaking of both of these teams, they're going to be squaring off here right away. Guys, what do we have for predictions? Who's going to win tonight, Mike? Who's going to win tonight?
I think Winnipeg, and I'm not just saying that because, I'm a fan of the team. But like I said, I think they're going to come out really hungry. I think they're going to come out swinging right off the bat. So Edmonton's defense is going to have to really brace for that. If they can have a couple good stops right off the bat, then I think that it'll at least be a competitive game. But if they can't make those key stops early on, then yeah, this one's going to be it's going to be a tough loss for the Elks.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, if the Elks can somehow find their defensive footing tonight, and especially without Jamin, which is a big one that we talked about. So if you don't have Jamin in there, you're kind of running on a little bit of, you don't have much in the tank there on D. Mm-hmm. We're really hoping that the D all of a sudden magically makes this happen tonight, stops the run, stops a couple of those critical plays early, and, actually takes the game to the Bombers.
Yeah.
Do I think it's going to happen? I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I do believe the Elks are going to lose this one tonight. I do believe they're going to lose by about two major scores. So,
yeah, I can see it. I mean,
that sounds about fair.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I don't expect a win. All I'm hoping for is a competitive game.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to see a sweep. I don't want to see
shutout.
The entire shutout, not a sweep. Sorry. But I just don't want to see the.
I don't think we'll see a shutout.
I don't think so, but that's what I would hope that we don't see, right? That's when I would be extremely disappointed if that happens. I think they have what it takes to make it a little bit competitive, but I do think that Winnipeg has the advantage here. So
yeah, no, for sure. Attendance, I'm I want to say because the Elks aren't exactly the biggest heavy hitter. It's a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
I'm saying somewhere between 20 to 25,000 are going to show up to Investors Group tonight. I do know that there's a couple of Elks fans going out there for the game. So I want to say Jake Taylor of K97 there, off the radio. She ended up, I want to say that her family is actually going down. It's either her and her family or her family is going down. So there is Elks fans that are going to be there tonight. Mike, do you have a prediction for the attendance?
I'm going to say out of that 20 to 25 range that you gave, I'm going to go a little closer to 20. I'll say about 20 to 22.
Nice.
But mostly because Thursday night game, and I mean, like you said, Elks aren't really heavy hitters.
No.
Well, let's move on from that.
All right.
On from the bad news.
Let's stop talking about the doom. Yes, the impending doom. Let's stop talking
I don't
about
want
that.
to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
So let's we just have a super quick Edmonton sports update for all of the listeners. So
Did you say Edmonton sports update?
there you go.
Okay, this is your Edmonton sports update. The Edmonton Riverhawks are in action down at Remax Field against the Ridgefield Raptors to finish a 3-game series. Opening pitch is 7:05 Mountain tonight. The 8-9 Edmonton Stingers in the CBL will face off against the Vancouver Bandits tomorrow in Vancouver in the second of 4 straight road games for the Stingers. Tip-off is at 8 p.m. Mountain. And tonight, the winless Edmonton Elks are in Winnipeg to take on the Blue Bombers. Kickoff is at 6:30 Mountain. Catch the game on TSN and 6:30 Ched. This is the Elks Herd. You're up to date.
I think you like that a little too much. But now we'll move on
Shout out
to to what we're all here for, and is to learn more about what you didn't know. More you didn't know.
The more you didn't know with Mike Dandrea. We're gonna go ahead and ask.
The more you didn't know.
The more you didn't know, because if we said the more you know,
there's
we're
copyright
gonna
infringement.
we're gonna
and I
get
can't
sued
do
or
that.
something. Yeah. So
All right.
we're gonna go ahead and ask you, Mike, a bunch of questions here, and let's get started.
Yeah.
So,
What are these questions relating to?
they're relating to your new Realtor gig that we're gonna go ahead and plug right now. No, it's all about football. So we're talking football. You're an American. We're Canadians. We're somehow friends, and we make content together. XYZ. We got to know why you became a football fan. Like, what sparked your curiosity in football?
Well, I was born in Pittsburgh. That should already say it enough. If everyone knows American football, Pittsburgh Steelers, just a historic franchise, and I'm a diehard Steelers fan. And I grew up Super Bowl 40, and Jerome Bettis's last I guess it was his last Super Bowl, but his last game in Detroit, his hometown, to take home a Super Bowl win. And then fast forward a couple of years, the Santonio Holmes catch in the end zone. Like, that's the stuff I grew up on. So, like, how can I not be a football fan,
That's very true. So how does a guy from the USA end up liking the Winnipeg Blue Bombers?
That is a funny story. And I am not the only Wisconsinite that, because, of course, now, like you mentioned, I live in Wisconsin, but I am not the only Wisconsinite that loves the Blue Bombers. There is another gentleman here. I believe his name is Joe Pritchard. And he follows like my social media and stuff. And he's another Bombers fan in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. And but I like them because I'm a Winnipeg fan. I like the Jets. That just came to be as a kid. I like the original Jets franchise. I just had a fixation with planes as a kid. So that's how that came to be. So then when they came back in 2011, I mean, it would have been a crime to not root for these guys that I did when I was real little, that I didn't even know what color the blue line was.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of came with the territory.
Oh, that's sweet.
You need to start a club, for any Wisconsinians. I don't know.
Yeah,
Wisconsinians.
Wisconians.
They're called Wisconsinites.
Oh, all right.
Nice.
Yeah, for Wisconsinites, I like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah, well,
Wisconsinites for Winnipeg.
Joe Pritchard is actually he's a pretty prominent member of the Twitterverse. So Joe Pritchard, that's pretty cool. So shout out Joe.
Yeah, he lives in my town. So
that's unreal.
Guy.
Unreal.
Yeah. Well, let's so I know you came to Edmonton in 2020, as Scout has told me before. Well, so what do you think of the Edmonton in general and the Commonwealth Stadium?
I'm not just saying this because I'm on an Elks podcast, but I actually really enjoyed the city. And I did get a tour of Commonwealth, and it was pretty awesome. I actually enjoyed it a lot. I believe that was before they went with the EE football team. I think they were still branded as the Eskimos at that point. But it was a fun experience overall. It was kind of a spur of the moment. Remember that, Scout, where it was just like, oh, let's go to Commonwealth, see if we can get a tour and walk around. Sure enough, we did.
So we ended up getting tickets to the Oilers Jets game the night before. Mike was specifically in town for the Jets game.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up going to first round. We had beverages. We ended up winning drink rail seats for the Jets game. So COVID is like dropping, like COVID is here.
Right.
The world is slowly stopping as we're like walking around. We're seeing people with like Lysol full hazmat suits and Lysol garb and everything else. And like all of a sudden they're like, everybody's wearing gloves and masks and all of this stuff. And then as we're sitting there, we find out the news that Rudy Gobert ended up licking a microphone in the NBA and got, a bunch of people sick with COVID. So that's dropping as we're sitting there at the drink rail seats, enjoying fantastic times. So then like that night, pretty much they shut down the NHL, and then we wake up the next day and shout out to Derek Yeomans over at the Elks office. Our boy Derek, he ended up actually hooking us up with a tour. We got to go walk around Commonwealth for around 20, half an hour or so, and yeah, we were walking in. We had fun. We set up at the top with our good buddy Stan the Cat, and then, as you know, Stan the Cat. And then at the end of it, we see Derek, kind of waving over at us like, "Hey guys, can you guys get out of Commonwealth now?" We're like, "Okay, sounds good." So we go walk down, and as we're walking out of Commonwealth, the news is MLB shuts down, NHL shuts down, all sports leagues.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, Scooter, remember we were supposed to go to Calgary that night too.
Yeah. Like we had really weird, stupid plans, and we were gonna go have a blast, and yeah, we were gonna go watch a hockey game down in Calgary as well,
and everything shut down.
And everything shut down that night. So so that was that, and ever since that night, Mike's been trying to make it back to Canada.
Well, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, exactly.
I was in Winnipeg in March for a Jets game, so I made it back to Canada since, but I haven't made it to Edmonton since. And you technically made it to Wisconsin, but just the wrong side of the state.
Very true.
Yeah, I've been down to Wisconsin a couple of times now, and every time I'm nowhere near Mike. I'm not close enough. It's a couple hours drive out, and even last time didn't have a car, so a good story here would be I wore my Eskimos jersey into a Wisconsin bar, and it was free happy hour. They had spotted cow, right? Spotted cow. So I was rocking.
I'm wearing my Leinenkugels hat right now, so watch what you say.
So these guys, everybody's looking at my jersey, and they're like, "That's not Green Bay Packers. What is this thing?" And I'm like, "Guys, CFL, Edmonton Eskimos," and they're like, "Oh yeah, I think I've heard of that team, yeah." And it just kind of became something crazy on its own right there, and the spotted cows went down really well. So it was.
They always do.
I love Wisconsin, and it's kind of funny because Wisconsin and Edmonton, even like within the sports teams, they have a couple weird little parallels and a couple little
Right.
weird things. Like, they're big hockey state because they're so northern. They're pretty big in their on
Mhm.
their hockey out there, right? Um,
Yes.
and then you also have like Mike Riley, our former amazing quarterback for the Double E. He actually used to play for the Packers and actually used to in training camp there. He didn't make it through preseason and make it through training camp, but he was a backup to Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, I mean, like those guys have remained
That
really.
kind of sucks, though.
It's not like it did anything good, really. No, it didn't.
I mean, he became
It
a
didn't
legend
do
up here, but I mean, poor guy, right? He had to settle for a different green and gold. Which, in our opinion, we would much rather Mike Riley play for the Edmonton
It's Michael.
Eskimos. But sorry,
Michael now.
the player formerly known as Mike, it is now Michael, in honor of his late mother. So, it's a good reason to switch it up. But yeah, Mike. So you're a sports fan. You mentioned Pittsburgh, right? So I believe that you're also a Pittsburgh Pirates fan as well, right? Well, actually, you used to be a Pirates
It's
fan.
unfortunate. Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship with them, and like I have tested the waters with kind of like rooting for them again this year, just because the ownership has at least showed, and I don't care if they lose 162 games, if they show that they're gonna put the effort in place to put a winning team on the ball field, like when they brought back Kutch, when they extended Reynolds, when they extended Hayes, it's like, okay, I may start to slowly root for this team again. But I was saying, if they have a fire sale at the deadline again this year, I'm finding another team. And I did find a team for a couple of years because the Jays were supposed to play in Pittsburgh. So that was actually my team that was my COVID team, we'll say. Just because I gave up on the Pirates when they traded Kutch and they sold the farm when they could have easily rebuilt the team. And, Bob Nutting, the owner, they call him Bottom Line Bob for a reason. And no, he's still the owner, but since he did show the steps that he's trying to put a winning team on the field somewhat. And they drafted Skeens. It's like, okay, I will test the waters and slowly start to root for these guys again, even though they suck right now.
So you know the pain. You understand the pain.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing.
Very much so.
So with you being a suffering sports fan yourself, what words of encouragement do you have for Edmonton Elks fans? He goes, and then he laughs. And then he laughs at the question. Oh, this is good.
So what you want to say is there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But I am a Pittsburgh Pirates fan. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. It's just endless suffering. But other franchises, save for maybe the Leafs' hopes at winning a Stanley Cup and the Cleveland Browns' attempt at being relevant. Aside from those, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So
it'll turn around.
I'll give you that.
There is a light.
Just the only thing is that the Leafs won't win a Stanley Cup, and the Browns will always be as useless as a pair of basketball cleats.
Nice. I like it.
You know what? That is encouraging for the Edmonton Elks.
We need any sort of form of encouragement that we can get right now. No,
like
that definitely
can help.
Perfect. Fantastic.
And then last thing we should mention, Mike, you have a lot of stuff going on. You're a weatherman. You're also running the Winnipeg Hangar, and now you're a realtor. So is there what's your socials for all of this? What's your tags? Plug it up. Let's go. Like, promote yourself.
Well, I have my real estate page is Mike Dandrea, Realtor. And then I have my weatherman page, which same thing, Mike Dandrea, spelled like the name Andrea with a D in front of it, and then -WEAU. That would be my weather stuff. And there's some comedy gold on there too. Like sneaking song lyrics into forecasts. I just posted a TikTok about that yesterday. And of course the Winnipeg Hangar, give that a follow. And yeah, that's my social sprawl, if you will. I'm over on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, TikTok, I'm just real Mike Dandrea.
Nice.
Yeah, that might be a play on someone's Twitter handle, but we
Yeah.
won't go there.
No, I like it. Just a little bit of everything. I love it.
Yep, I got to dip my hands in a lot of things, otherwise I get bored.
Well, exactly. And even with, what you're doing over at Winnipeg Hangar, we hope to have you out at IG Field, doing a little bit of coverage one of these times here in person. So you've got a massive.
That's the goal.
Oh man, you got your hands in 5 different pots right now. So that being said, we know that you're probably going to want to watch this Winnipeg game that's going to be coming up here in less than 10 minutes. Winnipeg versus the Edmonton Elks, Blue Bombers. As we said, the predictors don't look good for the Elks tonight. However, it's still going to be good. We're going to get our munch on. Mike, we can't thank you enough for joining us today. This was great, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is always it's always a good time to talk sports, and have me on anytime, even when the Bombers aren't playing. Feel free to give me a call and I'll make time for this.
Oh, for sure. Appreciate it big time, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
We're going to go, and we're going to be glad that we are not the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, exactly.
Just make the E sound.
Yeah, no, we are out with that.
Hey, we're saying today we're gonna say we. Okay, let's turn it around.
Oh.
All right, guys. Thank you so much to our viewers. Thank you once again, Mike. Really, really appreciate this, guys. And we're gonna catch everybody next time on another episode of The Elks Call. This is the Elks Herd signing off.
Have a good one.
Cheers.